So we'll start with stakes. If the person in front of you is not the most important person in your life, and you cannot live without them, then throw the scene away and don't do the scene, or find a distinction in the substitution of a who am I that makes that person the most important person in your life. If you can't say that the person in front of you is the most important person in your life, then you will mistake that the person you're speaking about, the person, place, or thing you're speaking about, is the most important thing in your life. How many of you are talking to your mothers or your best friends about the money you need or the girl that you're in love with, and you're actually mistaking the thing you're talking about as the most important thing in your life instead of the person you're speaking to? You all do it. It's a reactive failure-based communities tool. You all do it. If you actually knew that the person in front of you was the most important thing in your life, because without them you weren't going to get what you needed, then you would start to see that the thing you're speaking about is the obstacle, not the most important thing. It's the obstacle to what's in front of you, therefore leaving you needing what's in front of you to help you get what you need. I'm as serious as I could be when I say everyone makes this mistake. I have seen famous actors in famous $100 million movies make this mistake, where you actually start speaking about something and you mistake that the thing you're speaking about is the most important thing in your life. The thing you're speaking about is never the most important thing in your life. You know why? Because it's not tangible, it's not present, it's not there in the room for you to move with. What it does, if you make the thing you're speaking about the obstacle, if you make the thing you're speaking about, which is the obstacle, if you make the thing that you're speaking about the most important thing in your life, you will fail for sure because it's not tangible, it's not there. You can't do anything about it except think. And thinking's an illusion, which becomes a delusion once you think it more than 2 or 3 times. The person in front of you has to be the most important thing in your life. If it's about love, then you would say the person in front of me is the love of my life and I cannot live without him or her. Without him or her, I don't have what? And very simply, it's going to tell you, I don't have love, I don't have marriage, I don't have future, I don't have whatever it is. The thing you're speaking about is always the obstacle, not the most important thing in your life. If it's about power, then you don't say the person in front of me is the love of my life. Then you say the person in front of me is the most important thing in my life. It just sets up the verbiage to create the direct correlation to the equation that's causing the math that the human behavior falls out of. The director films the falling out. It's very much like creation, maintenance, and destruction. Think of a propeller to a helicopter. As the propeller goes round, you have creation, need, maintenance, obstacle, maintaining what's non-maintainable, and destruction, overall through line, the action that you take that's causing. As they all start to chase each other, the propeller starts to spin. Need, loss, and action start to chase each other. I take an action to get what I need because of my fear, because I'm not already whole and fulfilled. If you're whole, W-H-O-L-E, there is no movement. You're done. No karma, nothing occurs because you already are it. As you need it, the fear of loss of it, as you take the action to get it, it starts the movement of the 3 propellers. As those propellers move and pick up flight, and if you are correct in what you're doing, that flight will spin, it'll pick up. What it kicks off is life. And the reason you can't find yourselves or understand yourselves is because you are what kicks off. The need, loss, and action of your life is what creates the life that your pathology comes out of. And as a 0, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5-year-old, we're setting up what those propellers are and how they spin. We're setting up what need is, what you will need for the rest of your life. Your dad was never home, you're going to need that. You always felt abandoned, you're going to need that. Your parents loved your brother more than you, you're going to always need to be seen. We're setting up what those needs are. The obstacle is when you look forward, you don't have it. The 18-month-old doesn't have his daddy in his arms anymore. We're setting up those propellers for the first 7 or 8 years of your life. Once they start to spin, once the need starts to chase the obstacle, away or toward, once the obstacle starts to chase the need, away or toward, once the action of reaction, so you don't go near it, starts to occur, or once the action of causation, whether it's success or failure, right? Success is in motion, failure is opposition. You're moving against your own tide. Once those propellers start to chase each other, those three separate angles, you have motion. Out of that motion, the flight that occurs is what spins off of the need, loss, and action. So as a director, you're not getting the actor's homework. You're getting what the cause is, what dropped out, what got created. So once you have the stakes, the obstacle and the through line, the need, the loss, and the action, and you take the action to get over the obstacle to get to the need, the obstacle is chasing the action to try to get it to stop, and the action is chasing the creation to try to get it to create, and the creation is trying to get away from the obstacle to try to get to the action. The propellers, they start to chase each other. They start to spin. Your homework is never going to give you any of this. Your homework is going to give you the spin that what flies off is what the director then directs. You're always going to have to be based in faith, just like you are in your own real life. You wake up in the morning, you say, I'm going to work, and I'm going to have a great day, and then I'm going to go take out my girl for dinner, and the work is going to pay for that dinner, and I'm going to, and then on the way to work, the cop stops you for running a red light. You never intended when you woke up that morning to have life happen. Things start to spin and churn and move, and what drops out of it is your life. But you have no choice but to either live in faith or in fear, because you can't call forward and say, is a cop going to stop me? Is this going to work out? Am I going to be in a bad mood when I pick up my girl that I've been waiting 6 weeks to go on a date with, and now I'm pissed off because I'm in a bad mood and I can't control myself because I have no discipline, because no one in my community has wisdom which taught me discipline that teaches me that I have to move this way in order to have a healthy life. And life happens to you. As an actor or a human being, an act in action, which is the same, you have to be moving in direct correlation to awareness, practicing faith until faith becomes you, to create the causation of the existence of purity before the mind so that the pathology lays dormant. And how does your pathology lay dormant? With faith. It takes the action that's in front of it, not the action it thinks it needs to take. And for the most part, you will feel like you're dying. Why? Because the propellers begin to start stopping. They begin to go backwards. You're not chasing what you need. You're not running away from what you fear. You're not taking an action to bring safety. If you're successfully based, you're taking an action to bring what you're terrified about. If you're failure based, you're taking an action to get away from what you're afraid of. But in either instance, you're causing life to spin. The more awake you become, the propellers actually don't spin. You hover. And that's where faith occurs. So if you know that the stakes are one of the propellers, and you're not achieving flight, you're not achieving movement, you begin to tell yourself, well, one of the three propellers is off. If you've got all three propellers going, and yet it won't pick up flight, then it might be the overall driving force that's off. You may be trying to get power, but it's already a power scene, which means you already have power, which means you can't get power. So you begin to learn to apply love. Does love work? Am I spending my time trying to get her to love me, but she doesn't love me? Oh, right, I forgot. That's why I'm supposed to be doing that, but I don't want to do that. That just makes me feel bad. Yeah, that's what raises the stakes and the risk, which actually causes the director to want to film you. If you're not at stake, we're not at stake. How many of you go and watch actors working that feel really good and safe about their work, and it's the most boring, dull thing you've ever seen? And then you watch actors risking everything, and it's kind of like, whoa, you already know what they're going to do. You already know what's going to happen. You already know how it's going to end up, but you don't know how they're going to do it. And you go to see that. Obstacles. If the obstacle is not great, if you can get over it, by it, or around it, I always think of it as the Empire State Building. If you can get over the Empire State Building, I want to know you. If you can get around the Empire State Building in one step, I want to know you. And if you can get under it, your obstacles better be that great. When you think you can't afford to pay your rent, do you say to yourself that, yeah, yeah, but it'll just come in. I know a check that I don't anticipate is going to come in the mail and it's going to save me. No, you go like, oh my God, what am I, and you try to manipulate all your friends and try to get a job by like, being dramatic victims, which don't give you a job. And, at the end of every single month, some way or another, your rent gets paid. If you were to look back at your past, you'd be like, why did I freak out all month, every month about having my rent not paid? It was always paid. And yet, without faith, my habit is to fear my rent not getting paid, even though my rent is always paid. Those obstacles are all self-motivated. But because your history denotes that you feared it once before, you should probably fear it again. Because if you don't fear it, it leaves you feeling empty. Your characters should have the gift of the same. If your integrity is so hell-bent on booking the job that you forget to bring something to the job called a character, not a character, an idea, but a character, your character, your who am I, your sense of self. That as you bring yourself to the party, there's something to party with. You bring a character, an idea of who to play, like, here's my glove, pretend to like my glove. There's nothing to play with. So you have to raise the obstacles and make them as great in your character's life as you unfortunately make in your own personal life. Otherwise, every one of you would be going to Bali. You'd be like, how could I miss this? If I don't believe it, I should go just because I don't believe it. If I believe it, I should go to see it. If I've been, I should go to practice what I've been. Oh, I can't afford that. I can't afford to take the time off. What a great practice to take it off, to see that it's just my mind that's telling me that. Oh, I understand what you're saying in theory, but my life is too important. I'm not going to actually do that, which means if nothing changes, nothing changes. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. And welcome to your history and your future presently. While you continue to tell yourself the same thing you've always been telling yourself, which is, as soon as I can afford to, I'll do it. How long have you been saying that? Do you understand that it's a cultural phenomena? It's not an individual choice. You don't think your own thoughts. You think the soup's thoughts, and you mistake them as your own thoughts. And the only way to find out, because I am certainly not interested in telling you to believe me, no. But I am interested in you being willing to risk practicing something new to find out that you can believe you. And as an actor, to the degree that you see your life and you're actuated and activated in your life is to the degree that you can make a difference on camera. And same with an individual. Stakes are the most important thing in your life, or don't have them. Obstacles had better be so great, like an obstacle course, like the 330 lows that you can't get over. Because if you can get over them, how many of you go, yeah, I have these huge obstacles in my life, like I have a disease and I have a dysfunction and my lover's leaving me and they're stealing my house from me, but it's all going to be okay by Friday. When one becomes willing to risk the loss of what they believe they need to see what's just beyond it, it's literally like tearing away at the wallpaper. But when you start tearing away, you think it's the wall. Only in the tear do you see there's everything beyond it. Your own individuality got built up by your own fear. So you say, I'm willing to risk the loss of what I believe to see what is just beyond it. And what is just beyond it, and it doesn't matter what it is, it will show you more than you thought. And when it does, it shows you the opportunity of space beyond the self.